All right, ladies and gentlemen, starting your Notan. So we can call this Notan. So you make sure you label your Google drawing and you create either a square or a diamond. It is entirely up to you. Diamond is a little bit more tricky. Square is a little bit easier, but that's entirely up to you. So once you get to this point, what you need to do is start playing around with some of the shape tools, and I'm going to show you how to use some of them. We were mostly using the shape and arrow and call out and equation, or we didn't use equations or call outs, but we were mostly using these tools right here. Now there is one more thing I want to show you about these before I move on to some of the other tools that you can do. One of the cool things that you can do is once you have created your shape, you can create your shape. Hold on, I gotta make this inside. Now, one thing to make sure of as you're doing this on your own is to make sure you're figuring out where you're gonna flip things from and leaving yourself enough space to flip them. Now, I'm gonna flip this one out. So, first, I am going to make sure that my border is transparent. I'm going to leave it this light blue because I think I'm going to do the light blue on the inside, or this one will eventually become white, but I will change it to my color in just a second. So remember that you can edit, copy, edit, paste, and because this particular one is symmetrical, I don't have to do it on the outside, or I don't have to flip it horizontally. So I gotta line this up with the edge, and then I gotta line these up together so that they're touching, just like that. So that's what that's going to look like. Now what I'm going to do is something a little bit different that can give you a little bit different of a look. So I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to paste it again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift, because just like making a square, shift will make the same shape but smaller. And now I'm going to make that same shape but smaller. I'm going to edit, copy, edit, paste. I'm going to take this one over here somewhere, and I'm going to make this one blue. And what this is going to look like when I line these up is it's going to make it, and I'm going to make both of these white because it's going to be easier if I make these both white. There we go. So what it's going to make it look like is as if you've created this kind of thin, skinny shape. When you didn't really, it's just two ovals on top of each other. So you can kind of play around with how you overlap shapes to get these kinds of shapes. And you saw some of these in your, in those artists, or in the student examples I showed you. That is option 1, which is shape within shape. Option 2. There is another tool that we did not play around with last time. It is over here, and it is called Polyline Tool. This is another way to create shapes. So the way you create shapes using Polyline is you click, and every time you click, it creates a corner. And then when you click back, it creates the, and I'm going to make that transparent, I'm going to make that white. It creates whatever shape you've kind of clicked back to the beginning, and you've made that shape. Now once again, what you can do, edit, copy, and these are especially important, edit, paste. Now for this one, remember, format options, make sure you've got your format options open, and then I'm going to want to flip this. I'm going to flip this horizontally. So it kind of goes, no, I didn't like that. Undo. I don't like the way that looks. There we go. So now I'm going to flip it. Yeah, this way's better. And I'm going to line that up there. I'm going to line this up here. Oops. Let's make that one blue so it's nice and visible. And I'm going to line them up and be very careful with my edges to make sure that both of those guys line up right with the edge. Now I don't particularly like, because of the way that I'm turning, because of the way that I kind of turned my figure, because I'm working with the diamond, I might need to, yeah, I like that much better. I might need to twist and rotate some of my shapes because I'm working with the diamond. But that is what Polyline Tool can do. is you can create these kind of weird shapes. You can do something very similar up here in the same spot with a curve. What curve does is when you come between 2 points, instead of coming to a edge, it curves, and then I can go back, and that way I can create a kind of white space. And let's move that. I don't like where that is. I'm going to move it right to one of my edges. I'm going to make it white. Once again, copy, paste. Now I'm going to flip. And then I'm going to turn until it's facing the direction I want it to be. Now I'm going to make that one blue. Now the other thing you can do with these is, once again, I can edit, paste. I can hold my shift key and I can make a smaller version. I can even take the edges and warp it and stick it kind of in the center there, and then I can make that one blue. And that gives me that kind of weird wonky line. I can copy that and I can paste it. I can flip. I can turn it white and do the same thing, except I gotta line it up. I gotta rotate it to line it up. And I can get it so this might take you a while, but you can play around with and get kind of these weird kind of shapes and edges. All right, so that is shape within shape, Polyline Tool, Curve Tool. All right, the last tool I'm going to show you, and you can play with any of these other tools that are here too and play with them, but the last one I'm going to show you is Scribble. Now the nice thing about Scribble is Scribble, especially if you've got an iPad, undo. If you've got your Chromebook where you've got your touch screen, you can actually draw right on your touch screen. So you're going to draw and hold, and as long as you're holding down, it's going to create a line. You can then turn that line. I'm going to create it white. And then the thing is that is really skinny, but I can make that line nice and fat, and I can make that line nice and big. And then once again, I can control copy. I can control paste. I can flip it horizontally. I can drag it over here, curl it around until it lines up. I don't like the way that looks. Well, let's make it blue so I can see it. Make sure you're turning things the right colors right away so you see how things kind of flip and look. I don't like that one, I think. I think I got it backwards. That's a problem. I think I rotated it the wrong way. There we go. So I got to rotate that up. There we go. And I can go right and line it up. Oop, it's overlapping that one, which I don't want it to do. So I'm going to twist it a little bit more. So some of this is going to take you some time. That's why I'm giving you time in class today and tomorrow to kind of play around with this. Now what you'll notice is right now this piece here is coming off the edge of the page. And if it's a little bit of a line like this, that's fine. If there's a little bit of an edge like this one here is a little bit off, that's okay. If you're finding that all of your shapes are going off the edge of the page, remember that you can resize your canvas here, but that if you resize your canvas, you're going to have to scoot kind of everything over. And the way to move all of your things is to just kind of select them all. And you can do that also by kind of clicking and dragging and selecting the whole thing all together. So I can move that over. I can drag my screen a little bit bigger if I'm finding that my things are all too small. And then I can go back and drag the whole thing back to center. Right? So you're going to play around with this and you're going to use some of these shape tools and try them. Now, if you don't like them, that's a nice thing about Google Drawing. If I decide this piece here is way too big, no, I don't want that. I want that. I can just delete and I can just delete and I can say, okay, let's go back to that. Oh, I don't like this one. I can just delete it. So you can delete, play around. around, figure out things you like, things you don't like, and start creating your personal Notan.